we break the walls. Train it up, train it high. Next gen reaching for the sky. Push the limit, don't ask why. This is how we're born to fly.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Next Gen Training with myself, Mr. Bennett, and the coach in the building here. We took a little break, had to take care of some biz, had to refresh ourselves a bit, but certainly glad to be back. Cause I'm to hear that intro again. I kind of missed the intro, so getting ready to play that music again. But good that you guys are with us tonight. Make sure when you come in tonight, make sure you hit the like button. Certainly helps with the show, helps the algorithm. We're very close to getting monetized on this channel. And so shout out to Pete and certainly the crew for all they've done to make this channel a success. We're very excited about what's going to be coming up in the next few weeks. And so we're just committed to just creating great content, things that you can learn from. And I think, as Coach, you told me right before the show, this show may not be for tonight. This show may be for tomorrow. And what I love about what we do here in Next Gen Training is that we create content that is shareable. We encourage people to take our content, share with people, young people. If you're between the ages of 12 and 21, this is like the perfect content for you. But even older people, if you got kids in that age bracket, it's good to share that with them as well. So, certainly we do this because, again, we can't have a great compassion, certainly for anyone, but particularly young people. Myself as a trainer and coach, actually, he is a coach. He did probably the toughest job of all in coaching sixth and seventh grade girls basketball. It doesn't get any tougher than that. I'd rather have NFL players or whatever, but 6 or 7 year old girls, that's a tough one. And you see, he came out still looking handsome as he usually is. But shout out to you, Coach. How have you been? And how have you been doing in your pies? For you guys in the chat, how have you been doing with your pies? Physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual health. Rate yourself on those things if you want to drop a note in the chat. But Coach, certainly it's been a minute, sir. But good to be certainly riding shotgun with you again. How you doing, sir?
Oh, what's up, brother Benny? Yeah, man. Even in that little short moment you gave, a lot of things go through my mind about my life, man. And it's like every day I have to go to a pie at some point throughout the day when I'm conscious. When I'm asleep, my dreams be all over the place. But when I'm conscious, I have to go to one of them, at least pull one of them out. And I do it. I think I've done a good job most of my life, just being able to draw from it. Before I really came into understanding of, pies, I just used to go off like, okay, I had a good outcome. But then once I was able to focus in, it helped me alleviate a lot of stuff through life. Just in the reference to the coaching, it's a fitting task for me. The year that I'm saying, okay, I can no longer really be putting myself in a position to work and go out and just work for somebody and not make money. That fear, has always been amongst men, saying
Right.
family, I gotta get. So to get to that point in my life and taking on the task of going to, like you said, the most difficult age genre in the history of people, I think that's a fitting reward for me, man. I take that as a blessing. I really do, man. I own that as a blessing because God put me in front of the most vulnerable, and being able to have give that information and they learn and see how girls grew and confidence grew. You know what I'm saying? And also me being able to challenge things that are outside of school, emotions. Um, I think that just to me, it just culminates the year that I've had, and even now. So just in the present, I'm always thinking of maintaining my emotions, being spiritually grounded, physically grounded, even though I deal with physical issues. Um, a lot of it is just being motivated and doing what the doctors recommend. I can I can do a whole 6 months to a year on medical procedure exercises that therapists have given me. Just especially my young adult life, brother Benny, the times where I'm trying to work the most and be strongest, my body was like slowly getting to a place. I've never really been I've been a muscular built guy, but I've never really been the weight that I am now. Right now, I'm like 236. I've never been that big. I'm like 30 something pounds over where I need to go. And I think now and over the next, I guess, years going forward, I can focus on that because I don't
Mhm.
have to go and work. So it's just been an interesting thing culminating from my childhood. I love my childhood. I love it's just a lot of things that I learned and loved growing up.
Mhm.
So I'm always reflecting on that. And like you said, man, being in my 50s, and I don't know, man. Once I learned certain little techniques that always benefit, it didn't have to necessarily benefit me in the immediate, but I can see how I could come into fruition for myself. Things just been able to work out, man.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
I'm truly blessed. For real, I don't know what to say. So sometimes I would think I'm in a dream, right?
Mm.
And I'll go out. Me and my wife, we locked in. We talk about the same things going forward. You know what I'm saying? We getting our last of everything in the next year or so. You know, so we and I, she'll be 55 this year. So she's been working. Financially, we're sort of set because we follow these information patterns that we give out.
Mhm.
We don't just, like, okay,
You don't just say it, right? You walk it like you talk it,
yeah,
right?
and it makes it so easy. It makes it so easy. So yeah, man, I've always embraced pies once I actually knew how to put it in context and direct it. So, and that's been about 25 years now. So yeah, man, I'm just blessed right now and just hope my body can hold up. My grandpa lived to be 94. My dad passed at 80. But my dad, he owned a whole man. My dad, brother Bennett, my dad had this is medically diagnosed. This dude had 8 baby heart attacks, 2 strokes, cancer twice.
Mm.
And he survived. The cancer got him at the end because he was stubborn. He didn't want to go get the treatment that he needed. You know what I'm saying? He was a veteran too. I'm like, dude, you can get, I set him up for the rest of his life, but I'm like, man, you supposed to be, he ain't want to do it. But then come to find out, he had some old military problems to where they made him go get some AA treatment, and he was mad and this is in the 60s, brother. He was
Mhm.
mad all this time. I'm like, man, but just growing up, man, I had 5 sisters, brother Benny. What's tougher than that?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And older and younger. My dad was a functioning alcoholic, worked every day except weekends. My mom worked until she couldn't work. She sort of retired at like 45, 50. My dad retired at 60. So just seeing those things just put me in a mindset to work hard, you know what I'm saying, respect people, learn stuff. I like to learn stuff. But Yeah, man. So my pauses every day, man. I'm just so I'm glad I'm talking to you, man, because just the fact that what I'm saying you're sort of understanding it. Then, man, share it with everybody as you can, brother. See, and I say to young folk, man, I'll say just to give you a parameter, everybody your baby's age and under in that little window, your daughter's age and under, they looking and want somebody to be a Mr. Bennett to 'em. I promise you. You may not think about it. They ain't gonna give you, what I'm saying? You get them in that little circle, Brother Bennett. Once you get them in that circle, then you lock them in, especially
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? Once you lock them in, you just tell them, man, don't go do it all. It's learn the skill, then go bring it to the world. Is
Gotcha.
all. So
Yep.
I'm in, man.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. Yeah, man. I mean, things are going well for me too. I'm on a physical uh um journey, so to speak. Again, health, everything is pretty good at this point, but I decided we had some health screenings at my church. We're in our
Mm-hmm.
mid season, so we had some brothers analyzed, got the blood pressure, all kinds of monitors checked, cholesterol, all that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff checked. And certainly where I'm at, I could be better.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'm strong, is
Mm-hmm.
I'm fitter than
Mm-hmm.
most, but certainly a lot of those things, blood pressure and diabetes, that sort of thing. I'm kind of on the border pre-diabetic, and so they wanted certainly want to take that a little more seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So what I decided to do, that actually there's a study group at the Rutgers Health down here, and they were
Mm-hmm.
looking actually for African American candidates
Mm-hmm.
to be part of a study. They want to kind of monitor and censor lifestyle and whatnot, and how your
Mm-hmm.
body responds to certain foods and whatnot, and to try to build like a
Yeah.
customized plan
Yeah.
for how you need to be living your life. And so I
Yeah.
signed up for it.
Yeah.
And I've already shared with my church and whatnot. So I'll be soliciting to get other folks involved,
Yeah.
because again, especially with us, and we got Ghosts of Tuskegee,
Yeah.
so we don't want to be involved in a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I encourage that certainly things that we can do to help our people be better. That we should take part of those things.
For
And so
sure.
I decided to volunteer. In fact, I got this in my arm. So I got
Okay.
this monitor, this glucose monitor in my arm,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been a revelation to me. I got to tell you. I mean, if I on my phone, I got an app here
Mm-hmm.
that tracks my glucose continuously. And
Mm-hmm.
so the cool thing about it, or the amazing thing about it, is like when I eat something, it gives me a readout right here in terms of what my glucose level is at any moment when I eat something. The response, does the
Mm-hmm.
glucose go up if I eat something with a lot of glucose or sugar in it? You see the spike when it goes up. You get a little warning message saying, "Hey, your glucose is spiked up." You can understand why it's happening. I think a lot of times what happens to us is we don't know what's going on in our health, and so just having this tool for the couple days that I've had it has been eye opening. They gave me a Fitbit to track my movements and whatnot, and my
Mm-hmm.
sleep and all that. So it's and the other thing is I got what's called a DEXA scan.
Mm-hmm.
And what that is, you lay on a flat bed and you got this big, it's like an x-ray machine,
Mm-hmm.
but it measures your body head to toe. So a lot of times you may get like on a scale, one of those BMI scales,
Mhm.
or get the old school, the calipers to
Mhm.
measure body fat and things. That this thing does everything for you. It just kind of goes head to toe. It tells you in the areas, so it breaks down my area by region.
Mhm.
So I'm relatively slim in some areas. I got a little weight in some other areas and whatnot.
Mhm.
Some visceral fat and whatnot. So
Mhm.
they kind of measure all of that.
Mhm.
And like I said, overall, I'm pretty good, especially for my age. I'm 56, so
Mhm.
I'm pretty good. But I'm always looking to get better, and
Yeah.
like I said, always looking to be the example. And so the idea here is, so over the next couple weeks, it's been 2 days already, but over the next 2 weeks, I'll be have the sensor in my arm. It
Mhm.
it doesn't hurt that much, but it hurts when I do certain things. If I bend my arm all the way like that,
Mhm.
so stretch out the tricep,
Yeah.
it's a little pinch you get there. So it's there, but
Yeah.
it's not like it's a constant pain thing. But certainly for the good of again, get a better understanding of me, and then also encouraging brothers, as you always do, to get yourself checked out. Don't be afraid to go to the doctor and get screenings that you need. Let the
Mhm.
doctors do what they do, and so you can have a better sense of self, which again we'll talk about tonight. I think all those things are important. So so certainly leading from the front, if you will, that I'll be the guinea pig, and if anybody has any questions, then kind of come to me with it, and we can certainly take it. We can certainly take it from there. But it's weird when they were putting this in, they were saying, "Man, we don't know where to put it because you got too much muscle." So
Hmm.
they were like to try, so they had to find this area here. This was like he was trying to put it. It's like, yeah, he's got too much muscle here because it's literally it's a pin in my arm. So they had to
Yeah.
find like a fatty part where the arm was. So that's the only place
Look
that they
at
could find. So
you.
so I was like, yeah, yeah. So again, overall pleased, but like I said, the glucose monitoring has really been an eye opener in terms
Hmm.
of what foods that I need to be. So I may want to cut some stuff out. Just
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
at
for sure, for
some
sure.
of the responses, but it's like when you see it,
Hmm.
it's like wow, you see how this affects you versus
Hmm.
that how fruit affects you versus
Hmm.
carbs and starches do.
Hmm.
You still get that insulin spike, but the spike doesn't last very long. In fact, it drops dramatically
Hmm.
when you're eating fruit versus if you're eating rice or pasta or something
Hmm.
like that. So or breads. So so it's like I said, it's been very interesting so far, and we'll see again how this goes over the next couple weeks, and hopefully I'll be adding value to a project that is again for us, and again, like I said, I'll continue to solicit volunteers. If you got a BMI that's under 30, is main what they're looking for. They look for people who are A1C levels or whatnot. There's criteria to join the study, but they're certainly giving people opportunities to participate and again, hopefully help their communities down the line. So definitely looking forward to taking that on. But again, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual, everything is good. I was just part of a men's Bible study before I came on. It was funny because we were kind of introduced and I kind of share my background a little bit,
Hmm.
and it kind of fit in with the theme, the idea of again, a lot of us don't come from the best of circumstances, but
Hmm.
then you look at where you're at now
That's why I said.
relative to where a lot of guys won't wound up. You're still here,
That's why
and
I said.
so the idea is that you can't help but have this sense of appreciation and
Appreciation for
gratitude
sure.
for where you came from and whatnot. And a lot
Yes,
of guys
sir.
didn't know. I thought I told people, but a lot of people didn't know my background, a lot of what I kind of went through and everything. And so it's just good to share that. And I feel free, and I think that's part of tonight what we want to get across as well. There's a freedom in knowing yourself and knowing who you are, because really where the show the sequence of shows that we're going to be doing over the next few weeks, we're going to have about I think 5 shows in this block. All of this is dealing with the issue of anger management, but oftentimes, now again, we're not, and just to kind of give you a full disclosure, we're not therapists, we're not psychologists or anything like that. If you're in need of those type of services, by all means consult a professional. When it comes to those sort of things, we're just giving advices from our own experience, sharing some resources that we hope will be beneficial to you.
For
But if
sure.
you need that kind of professional service, then by all means get that. Don't just rely on us. But certainly, um, what I've seen over time is that for a lot of people, especially young people that are dealing with anger issues, a lot of that is coming from an insecurity. And that
Mhm.
insecurity is, again, not knowing of self or not being comfortable with who you are,
For
not
sure.
dealing with the things, the triggers, for example, that why you are the way you are, why you react the way you react, because you've never spent that time and no one sat down with you and asked you about who you are. Because I believe that once you know who you are, then you can know better how to go forward and how to address certain things. And so, Coach, what are your thoughts on that? I think a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, especially in young people, comes from this insecurity. But how would you approach that?
Uh, Everything you're saying is correct, and I'll take everything you're saying and just go to the root of those insecurities. Uh, you know, as you were speaking, I was thinking about having that uh, love and appreciation from both my parents. Just having that, my mom expressed her love by the things that she did. She wanted to, I guess, one of the reasons that probably why I got into helping other people, the things she did that I saw, right?
Mhm.
Raising, 7 girls and being respectful, and my father, he put me in the mindset of being a boy, being a man. I'm gonna
Mhm.
do stuff outside, and just having that, man. So I think it's a combination of things, that when you because a kid they just acquiesce to whatever a parent does, right? So, but then some kids survive that rough beginning, right? And then they
Yeah.
still got a chance to go out and live life. Then it comes down to decision making. And when you get into, I guess, after a kid and you leave a kid, adolescent years, you don't know who you are. It may take years to find out who you are.
Hmm.
And a lot of people will just run around in that bliss until something either really tragic happens and then they wake up, and it could be not necessarily them, it could be a family member or a loved one, someone, or it could be themselves if you want to get it that extreme. But I think a lot of people get lost somewhere in there because once I started getting into education and social service, I learned a lot about the mind and functioning of people and um, what's it called, triggers and incidents that may happen in
Hmm.
someone's life that could
Yeah.
affect them 20, 30 years in their lives. And like you said, that appreciation comes from those foundations. But also, one thing I appreciate that I can see with Gen X, despite our situations as younger, I don't know, man, and I can't say whether it's 90%, or it's 30%, 50%, but from what I've seen, even in people that I went to high school with, and people that I see of my age from around the country, most are sort of had a balance. I mean, not necessarily. What I mean by that, they're still most wanting to be workable, be productive. They gain weight. That's just part of it, but I think coming out the gate, if young people don't have the confidence that Mr. Bennett and Mrs. Bennett can give them, they're going to have some social emotional struggle somewhere within their adult life that they may or may not be able to recover from, or it may take years to recover from it.
Yeah.
And all of that comes for the confidence that I believe a parent can give. Or a good coach, but how long does a coach have a child? If a coach can be with you 4 or 5 years, then that could make a change. But for the most part, the longest people in your life are supposed to be your parents and siblings. And if you don't have that going into those transitional periods, then it's going to be you. It's going to be up to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so we're gonna get into this assessment. So before we get started, want to share my screen here, and again, we have an email box. Certainly, any questions that you may have on some of the content that we create, you can certainly go to Ask the Coaches, and certainly get that information. Drop an email in the chat, and certainly when your questions come in, we love to entertain your questions on the show. So again, Next Gen Training, NXT GEN Training 101 at gmail.com is the address. So you can certainly go there and again drop your questions there. Any questions on previous shows that we've done, you can certainly submit your correspondence there. But tonight, certainly we want to deal with this subject of, again, this self-assessment, again, who you are. Because again, if you don't get to that understanding, then you're going to be reacting rather than taking accountability and ownership over your life. You'll be reacting to things and you may not know why. And so we want to ask you guys a series of questions that you can certainly, entertain your old time. Again, play the playback on this, digest this segment in pieces. And we're going to have, again, 5 parts in this anger management series. So again, take your time with this. We appreciate those who stream and just listen in. But if you need to digest this in parts, that's good. Take your time with these questions and really give yourself an opportunity to really, again, discover who you are. Hopefully, like a lot of the parts of who you are. If people have been telling you, like I grew up, people told me I wasn't ish, but that I wouldn't be anything. And so, but once you can get a hold and like and hopefully love yourself, that'll do a lot to quell a lot of the anger or a lot of the frustration that you have. But as we said earlier, again, we're not therapists or psychiatrists. If you certainly need that help, by all means, get the therapy that you need. But these are just some things to consider when you go into that room with that professional. Things that hopefully you have a grasp on or a better grasp on. But self-assessment is so important. And again, the reason why we're going to be asking these questions. So again, as we talked about, it's insecurity. Oftentimes, why anger comes up. Self-love comes from self-assessment. Understand that you can help you be understood by others. Understand yourself can help you be understood by others. Again, when you know yourself, there's no need to have to prove yourself to anyone through manipulation, force, or anger. And a life of self-control opens the world to you and attracts the right kind of people to you. But again, we're going to ask you guys some questions, and we may coach any question that you or I might want to pick up or answer ourselves as we kind of go through this. Certainly feel free to chime in. Some of these questions I haven't entertained in a while, and I had to think about it a little bit as I was kind of going through it. But I think these are good questions for anyone to ask, and so we want to help you guys. Yeah, let's go ahead.
And I was going to say, I just when I see the question, I'll just speak to how I may have addressed the situation.
Awesome. That'd be perfect. That'd be perfect. Yep, absolutely. The first question that we want to ask ourselves, again, I'm someone who hates. Okay. Because again, a lot of times these triggers may come up or whatever because there's things that you hate that you don't express, or a lot of things that you hate that you don't address or you allow to happen. But do get an understanding of those things. So again, Coach, with this first one here, how would you advise, or what would be the basis for this question?
I mean, this would be sort of addressed if someone says it out loud. Ooh, you heard people say, "Ooh, I hate when da da da," right? So, and then just in someone saying that, like, once they say I want to find out what the trigger is, because the trigger is what they hate. You know what I'm saying? Whatever gets an emotional reaction from them, that's what I would just sort of focus on. Ask them, what is that? How did that make you feel? Did you feel listened to? Did you think that they value your opinion? Things like that, especially if it's a person. But if it's a situation, then we had to talk through the logic of, whether it was a man-made situation where you could have made a mistake, someone stole something from you, how, what I'm saying, to help them understand that part of it. But yeah, it comes down to what are those triggers that make you, what is it is it about yourself? See, and it's also, but I think a lot of people don't understand self. They just don't necessarily hate. But then I think if it's about self, then try to get them to understand that they are worthy, and that's something that we can't talk about in 2 weeks. It might take me a whole school year. It might take me to your sophomore year, and when you get it, a lot of times, especially young, that's why I like young teenagers, when they get it, Brother Bennett, they get it. Everything changes. One incident that they have negative about what they hate, once that gets 100%, everything else goes to 100%. I've seen it 1,000 times. So that's when they become a little bit understanding of self. So.
Gotcha. Next question. I am someone who can't.
Ooh.
Now, again, this isn't a bad question.
No, it's not.
Because a lot of times, again, this idea of insecurity, because I can't do something, then I'm not good enough, or I can't do something, I'm less than. Everyone has their limitations. And again, part of understanding who you are is to recognize those limitations. So maybe there's things you have been exposed to. Well, guess what? A great way to overcome that is to maybe try something, some initiative for the first time, if you never did it for the first time. So again, be honest with yourself about what you can't do. Coach, any comments on this?
I love these questions. I fight these questions. I used to fight these questions. These are the questions that I used to fight them, because now we get into a sense of self-doubt before you even try.
That's right.
That's why when I used to hear these type of questions, I'd be like, "What are you talking about?" They'd be
I
like,
can do anything.
why are you getting
And
so upset? I'm not upset. I'm like, you got to explain this. And I make them explain it. Then they realize, you know what? I can do it. That's the whole argument. Once they get to explaining it, they can realize, you know what? I can do it. I just
Yeah.
didn't. You know what I'm saying? So
which gets to the next question. I am someone who can.
yeah,
Again, this is assessment. Again, your strengths and your weaknesses.
that's the part you got to work
And
on.
don't run away from your weaknesses. Everyone's like has this can do, no, speak positive, and I gotta be positive all the time. No, recognize I'm a human being. There's things I do well. There's things I don't. Even our ages, there's still things that we don't do so well. Can you accept that in yourself, or is that a point of insecurity that you will fight people on? And again, react in anger because someone exposed my weakness, like you would like some superhero, and people don't know what your kryptonite is, or you feel a certain way because you feel more like this. No, embrace both sides of yourself.
Mhm.
Everyone has aptitudes and abilities. There's certain things that you haven't done before. The question you have to ask yourself is, are you willing to do these things? Are you willing to try? Are you willing to
Mhm.
apply yourself? Ignorance is not a weakness, but
Not at
stupidity is.
Yeah.
Now, going around thinking you know something when you don't, and there's a whole lot of cap out here in these YouTube streets of people selling a narrative. What I love about this channel and the people that are on it is that we're as transparent with our lives. We show everything. We don't hide. We're not trying to present or give an air of that we got it together. We're just human beings just trying to make it through things. So again, if we can certainly hear and bare our souls, there's nothing wrong that says that you can't or can apply yourself in certain ways. So again, don't run away from these questions. Don't be embarrassed by the fact that you can't or can't do anything. And these are so this is again part of the assessment process. What you can't do and what you can do. Both of those ultimately make up who you are. Embrace it. All right, next question.
Hold on, brother, but just
go ahead.
Go back to this is
Which one, the can or the can't style? Which one?
the one I am someone. I am someone who can. Right.
Yeah.
This is something that I sort of mostly believe up until I went to air assault school. Going to air assault school is one of the requirements within the last 2 days to pass the class. You had to go 12 miles in less than 3 hours with a 50-pound bag on your back or more,
right,
and a rifle at this position the whole time, right? And they had monitors. They had people every 10 feet watching you, right? Once I completed that, I knew then in my life I was somebody that I always could. I've always been able to, especially being young, like playing sports and stuff like that. I've always been able to, thrive within my peer group, But when I had to overcome that, I never doubted myself again after that. And every time I was working with people who doubted themselves, I always, and this is the thing I love. I always used to, especially when the kid be like, because I always ask the kid, "What's your talent? What can you do?" They can draw, they can paint, They can dance. They can play instruments. They can make music. They can do all of that, right? I always put them on task to do something for me. I said, I need you to make me I need you to draw me something. I used to always do, even the guys that were getting out of prison and jail, the women. I used to always tell them, bring me something. And a lot of them brought it about, I would say about 80% of the time I would get figurines or made out of paper, paintings. We did a couple of Zoom, the students where they did a Zoom and showed their talents. Even working in social services, I used to even do the foster kids, make me something, and more than likely they would do it. I'm talking about little small stuff that a kid was able to learn. I say, now see, with that right there, you can do anything. Don't let nobody tell you. These are conversations like that. Brother Ben, I can't even remember half of them name today.
Right.
I used to look them in the eye and tell them, you can do something. You don't let nobody tell you can't. And you go, you know what I'm saying? And so just working in it, and it just sort of just, I don't know, man, just made me feel like I was invincible sometimes with the respect of everything I did. I didn't never brag about. I would never do that. I would never show off. I would never do that, but just seeing the benefit of helping somebody else get to a better headspace where they can believe that they are worthy. It's the greatest feeling in the world, man. It's the greatest feeling in the world.
Yeah. Now we got another pairing of questions, sort of in a positive or negative sense. I'm someone who never will.
Mhm.
Now you can take this in a lot of different directions. This will be, again, in terms of your, it could either be your virtues or your character, or your fears. You can go in any direction with these. But someone who never will, again, is that coming from, again, I was told if it wasn't for books, I wouldn't be Ish. So that was sort of grilled into me when I was growing up by people.
Oh, yeah.
And so, again, if you start to internalize some of that, again, that feeds into your lack of confidence or your fears, which then can also spill out into your anger. But you can also use this, I think, as a positive. Like, again, your character, like, again, I'll never lie or I'll never cheat. Those are also some good never wills as well. You can apply it there as well. So I would say apply this to your virtues, but also apply it to those things that might be things you need to get over, your fears. And some people I've seen some people so fearful. I'll never get on an airplane. Because you have some sort of phobias over some things. What about those things? And then likewise, okay, I'm someone who has. So again, you can look at these almost as, again, pair of questions. What are some things, again, in a positive sense, some of the positive things that you have done in your life? What are you most proud of in your life? Things that you've done. But at the same time, are there some things that are holding you back? You say, I'll never do this. So, Coach, your thought on these two sets of questions. I think certainly the latter question of that something that you have done. I think those are things that, sometimes with young people. In fact, we were just on with a brother, like saying that Bob said, he was just talking about how his father never, he's done all these achievements in life. But the one person who never gave him any validation was his father, at least to him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when he talked to other people, he had a stepmom came up and told them that, oh, your dad talked about you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But he never said it to his son.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea that he was looking for validation
Mm-hmm.
for all those years and never got it.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are things that, again, so talk about this set of questions. I'm someone who never will, or I'm somebody who has. What have you done? That, again, you may not think it's a big deal, but it is a big deal. but a lot of people don't give you that validation. A lot of people don't give you credit for those sort of things. So talk to these two, Coach, in terms of how to properly frame these questions.
No, just real quick on someone who I never will. Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. Lie and cheat on your spouse and steal and kill and what's another? Cheat. Yeah, those are good moral values to hold on to. If you can do that for all of your, I guess, moral adult life, you probably come out favorable in the end. You'll probably always be on the positive things of life when it comes to things that y'all like the most: money, cars, houses. Believe me, if you stay away from those, you'll probably come out pretty good. Um, and the second one, go back. Yeah, I am someone who has. This is something that if you were sitting down with someone to sort of separate the two, identify the negatives and identify the positives, this would be something good for that. And this would be something that write it down so they can see it. I used to always use a whiteboard for these type of exercises, and it's 12 people. You may get an answer from all 12, two from some based off the negative. But then when it comes to the positive, you may get 6 to answer because most have experienced only negative. But then there's also individual positive that you can pull from it. And that's where the biggest growth is. This is a great exercise for a group because when they go to identify the positives, you may get a very limited number of answers, but then there's a multitude of answers that could be added, and the list does not stop. And once they can recognize that and sort of focus on the positives, despite those nuggets of negative that are sort of already embedded in life sometime. You know, the Bible even refers to you're going to have some difficult times, and that could look different in different moments of time for everybody.
Mhm.
So I think once people can, from what I've seen, from sixth grade through adults, that once they can identify those positives, whether you mentioned it earlier about being, I think that naive, ignorant. You know what I'm saying? It's like naive. You don't know, but once you can see them, visualize them, that's where you can get a greater result. For people can think about the positives in their lives, their situation, compared to the negative, and that has to be sort of visualized. Like you got up this morning, you got paid yesterday. Starting with the basics, you had a
Yeah.
good lunch, and then build, with your mom is alive, sort of intimate things that they can be positive for, then things that can actually help them grow to get to this next step by taking those next gen steps. You can't avoid the steps.
Mhm.
And I think once you can get people to understand on the positive where we are, and then the direct steps that we got to take, and it may take us 6 months, a year. I'm 25 now, and it may take me till I'm 35. But that's part of to me, when I try to explain, that's part of the evolution of life. You're supposed to be getting stronger and wiser when you're going up in number, because eventually you're going to start going down that hill, and you want that hill going down to be nice and sort of smooth. You don't want to help,
Yeah.
but it's just having those one-on-one conversations outside of the group with the individuals. These are things that this is a great group exercise, because everyone has a positive within them. Just got to pull it out.
No question. No question. Next, a question here. I am someone who can't wait to.
Oh man, come on, man.
What are you excited? What are you excited about? Now, again, unfortunate, and I've seen it, unfortunately. And again, as heartbreaking as and this is, you got a lot of young people who have difficulty with this question for the simple fact that they don't think there's nothing to look forward to.
Mm,
Again, young people. I mean, again, parents or guardians or whatnot. You can do a lot of damage in this space, but it's hard. I mean, I think, Coach, you had to have been around this. You know, when you got kids who are on the verge of the brink of going another direction, can you turn them around and give them a life that's hopeful, a life that is optimistic, a life that they can see a plan, a path forward? But especially if you're one of those kids who grew up in a really bad situation where all your friends are didn't make it past 18, 21 years old. And you just ask yourself, okay, what am I, but do you have higher aspirations to maybe leave that situation? Again, this could be a major contention when it comes to anger issues. When you're hopeless, when you don't see a way out. But when you think that, yes, I have plan, I have a future, I can see a positive outcome for myself. So what are you enthused about? What are you excited about for the future? And so this is what I thought of when when I thought of this question. So what about you, Coach? How'd you approach this one?
Brother Bennett, man, come on, man. I said this myself when I was about 8 or 9 a few times. Man, I can't wait till I leave this house. Man, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Look, and most of the time when people say that, especially within the home confinements, is when you know you on some BS and your parent done got on you. Or you done seen some crazy stuff and ain't nobody on your side and you like, I'm mad. Yes, I think this is common. I've seen little white kids, a lot of white kids say this, probably teenagers, because they hate their parents around
Right.
from 12 to 18. And
Right.
but again, I used to always, this is a question that it's going to take sort of a one-on-one
Hmm.
process.
Hmm.
You know what? Because now you have to get them to understand. Okay, well, you find out what the trigger is. What got you to this mindset? Events took place. Boom. Okay, cool. Then, as a professional or someone who's working with these people, I would go to the adult or the perpetrator another time. But in this moment, yes, this is going to happen. But then there's going to have to be a conversation about when you do get there and you can't wait in your can't wait time, from this moment why you can't wait till you get there, you do everything you're supposed to do to make sure you can accomplish your goal.
Yep.
Everything. And especially I love it in high school because I'm only focused on the education and the social emotional stability. Damn it, when I don't come around, I don't want to see you talking in class playing. If you want to get there, you got to get there. I don't want to see you in the hallways. I don't have your fun, go to lunch, act silly. When you in that classroom, you shouldn't be talking to your buddies the whole class. You should be learning something new every day. And the one thing I appreciate is that once they realized that I was serious, then it didn't take a whole lot of ruffling back and forth. Even the guy, even those guys that were felons, Brother Bennett, when I was in front of 40, 50 black men at a time, twice a day for 3 summers,
Right.
with felons 18 to 24, and I'm having these conversations. We down and dirty having these conversations. Very, very little pushback. Some questions, but very little pushback. Very little. Wasn't nobody out. It ain't none of that YouTube responses just to try to prove that they have a, you know what I'm saying? None of that. And the differences I would be able to see. So that's a delicate conversation, depending on age and stuff like that. 18, 17, everybody say that. I can't wait till I'm grown and get, yeah. But then as I was grown, I was used and being able to say, hey, slow down right there. slow down, slow your gears down.
Yeah.
Before you get grown, there's some steps you need to take.
Right.
So
And even in the idea of I can't wait to get out of here. I mean, even that kind of energy, I don't know if that's necessarily uh like a lasting one. Like I don't know if that's necessarily like a positive thing per se. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah,
if you're coming out of, yes, you have a bad childhood or whatever, and I can't wait to get away from my parents and these people or whatnot. I think at some point that it may fuel a reaction, but a long term plan, I don't know if that necessarily gets you to a sense of happiness or peace or whatever. It's like, yeah, I showed them or I left, but again, if there's relationships that are still damaged or repaired, I think those things still need to be worked on. I think certainly get yourself out of a house that's on fire, absolutely. But then hopefully you can have some time to figure out, well, why the fire was started. I think that's a helpful or useful exercise. So again, because I could have said that in my situation as well. There were times I wanted to run away because of how bad things were at home. But
yeah,
again, had I done that, I don't know if I would have obviously have the outcomes
right.
that I
Slow
had.
down,
So
slow that
that's what I'm
gear
saying. So
down.
again, there's motivation. There can even be a sense of, again, I'll show them.
hmm
But even then, it has to, it has to lead to a more positive place. You don't want to, again, what they say, jump out of the frying pan into the fire. And
Yes,
so some of that motivation, you just got to be mindful of. So at least that's my view on
but
on that, just as a cautionary of not allowing that kind of emotion to
yeah,
make you make bad decisions.
right. But brother Benny, where I could see a good, and this is why I used to try. I've had this conversation. Yes, guys, even in on probation, whatever, they used to say all the time, I can't wait till I get off of this. Can't wait till okay. What we gonna do in between the time?
Yep,
It's so much you can do between this time and the time it's over that you can gain and be sort of ready to hit the road running. But you don't want to sit around. So having again, like I said, some conversation like this would work sort of in an intimate setting, but use a lot of if anybody wants to talk to me, use visuals. If you got a whiteboard, something that you can draw and write words up on, man,
hmm
and just leave them up there. If you got especially a space where you can have sections, just leave it up on the board. Don't erase it. Let them take pictures of it. All of that, man. It sort of it gives them a reference and then reminds them of the true information being passed down. So
for sure, for sure. Next question. Now this is this is sort of a double question.
mm,
This deals with your values. This deals with your priorities. I am someone who would rather this than that. Speaks to your values. If given both situations, how would you handle that? This really kind of gets into helps you understand the type of person that you are. Because someone may pick the total opposite of you, and it doesn't make them wrong, but it just lets you know that again, everyone has maybe a different value set. So, what are those things? So, again, really take your time with this one. I'm someone who would rather do this than that. Coach, your thoughts on this one?
this could be, used on two fronts, right? It could be used in a way to help someone sort of not get themselves in trouble, but it could also be used to help someone adventure out further than their fears, face their fears. So yeah, and this, like you said, this is a tricky question. Um, and us being two individuals, yes, you rather do a right turn, I rather do a left turn. That's common within people.
Mhm.
But if you're making this decision your own self, then you have to determine the level of of any whatever it is that you want to do or not do. People, so just a small thing, as me, I wanted to learn how to build a fire. You ain't trying to learn how to build a fire, right?
Yeah.
And vice versa. You want to
Yeah.
learn how. I don't want to do. So if you're saying something about something that you did, this is one thing I don't know. I think this came from just my family and my mother. I didn't want to do everything that you did, and I wasn't going to argue with my 15-year-old buddy about what he wanted to do, and if I didn't want to do it. I'd be like, all right, man, I'll catch y'all later.
Yeah.
I'm going how? What I'm saying? I'm going over here. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't, and I think, in a YouTube space, you get the back and forth about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Oh man, that ain't what I do. Okay, see, but in face to face, for me, what I had to people understand, it's okay if you choose yourself
Absolutely.
over someone else's ideology.
Absolutely.
And that's great for a group exercise. And it takes some reinforcement outside the group. So we having this, but then when hey man, I see you have some concerns about that.
Mm-hmm.
How, what I'm saying, are you in this? Yeah, man. So yeah, man, that's an interesting question, man. If me and you are like, you're an educated guy, I'm an educated guy. Say we wasn't educated, right? We were just two sitting on the two stool step type of guys, right? But we cool, right?
Yeah.
And we'll probably be aligned with some of the same dumbass shit that people do. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But it will be okay, the fact that, here we are, like, okay, man, I'm going to go left over here to sunny Acapulco, and I'm like, oh well, man, I'm gonna go south to South America. Okay, it's cool, and the different opinions are valid on both ends, and it's not like, why you ain't going? I'm not gonna force you to take on my opinion, and you can't force me.
Right. And again, this is also what gets a lot of people in trouble, and
Yes.
also gets to an angry situation.
Yes.
You weren't willing to state what your values were, or that I don't want to do, and you went along with the other plan, knowing you didn't like it the whole time.
Yes.
And then people are like, well, what you upset about?
Yes.
Because you never made it known, you never made it plain. I'm not into that.
Yes.
I'd rather do this. But then you'd be like, well, I came along with you because I thought you like it, but then I'm not liking it, and then you get an attitude. I mean, you ever been out with a woman? It's like the whole that whole restaurant question, right? Oh, let's go here to this restaurant. She'd be like, all right, but then you weren't really feeling it. It's like, well, where do you want to eat? Well, I don't know. Well, let's go here. Well, I don't want to eat that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So again, having taken agency over, again, what you value, and don't be afraid to share those values with other people. Don't just go along for the ride and then be upset later on because of the decision that you made. No one forced you to do so, but you thought that you had to belong. You thought you had to fit. You thought you had to be cool. And sometimes it's not about that. It's like, again, know who you are, know your values, know your limits. Go back to that question that we asked earlier, that I will never. That, I think that's tied to this question. They're kind of similar in that, again, the I will never question can be a question, a positive question about your value set. And this is almost like the second part of it. I would never do this, but I would do that. That's part of, again, your self-knowledge is important. Now, again, speaking of that, this next question is different. It's a different question. The question asked earlier was, I am someone who will never. Again, that could either be values or that can be coming out of a fear or a phobia. This one, I am someone who has never, that could just simply be inexperience. It doesn't mean that you're opposed to it. It doesn't mean if the opportunity didn't present itself that you would or wouldn't. But it's coming from lack of something. There's a lot of things that I did like later in later years. Like people surprised, oh, you never been here? It's like, no, I never been. We went to the Performing Arts Center in New Jersey. I went there for the first time. We saw George Lopez last month. And I was telling people, like, you never been? No, I've never been to New Jersey Pack. I'm 56 years old. I've never been to New Jersey Pack before. My wife's been there several times. Her and her sister go to concerts and different things. I've never been there. That's not a weakness. It's just an experience that I have yet to have, an opportunity to learn something that I do not know, a place to go to that haven't been. Oh, you never been to Vegas? You never been to this place? Well, guess what? That's an opportunity for you now to say, we can go here. We can do this. People talk about, oh, I like to go with someone. Shout out to What We Know podcast in the building tonight. Appreciate you being here, sir. A lot of people talk about, you like being with some well-traveled. Honestly, I'm kind of the opposite. If I'm well-traveled, I actually wouldn't mind going with someone who hasn't been well-traveled. Because then you can kind of share or expose people to things, new experiences that they never had before. And there is something that is enriching. There's something that's positive about that. To open up someone's eyes to a different experience. You never been to this restaurant? Oh, let me take you. You got to try this. You got to try that or whatever. So again, it's not a weakness. It's an opportunity. But be honest with yourself. What haven't you done that you will do, that you're open to doing? And finding people who would want to share that experience with you. Coach, your thoughts on this one?
Man, can you see me?
Yeah, you good.
Brother Bennett?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, man, shoot. It seemed like I was gone, man. I don't know. Yeah, man. You said something.
No, hang on. Anton, that is not what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're not talking about
No, we're not talking about that.
Well,
I will never. That's an I will never. That's not an I am that who has never. That is a will never be.
I will never.
Yeah. So.
and we can't be 100% on the I will never. Currently, up to this date, no, you have never been to jail. We can confirm that, Anton. Salute to you, brother.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would say that, man. I've never been to California as far as location. I never bungee jumped. I've never had to physically put my hands on a woman to hurt her. I've never been slammed on the ground by the police. I've never, jumped out of an airplane.
Now, some of those things now, are those you have never or will never? Would you jump out of an airplane now at your age?
No, definitely not. Well, let me say this. If I'm on a plane and it's going down and they say, you got a parachute, I'm jumping.
You take it.
I'm jumping.
You don't have a bucket list. You also mentioned bungee jumping. So
nah, brother.
You don't have a bucket list.
No.
Of these activities that you haven't done but would be open to doing. Well, what would that be? All right, let me ask you that then.
Okay.
What would be something that you've never done that you would be open? Now, you said you've never been to Cali, but I know you talk about Olympics 28, so you may go there, right? That'd be your first trip to Cali, but something else that you could say that you haven't done but you're open to doing. I don't know, country dancing. Was that square dance? You square dance?
I did that in middle school, so that's over. I won a championship in middle school square dancing, so I got a ribbon and everything, man. So, and that was all the square. I hated square dancing after that, but I was young, man. So, I would say there's one thing that would be a bucket list, and that's fishing for swordfish. Big old a blue marlin. That would be a bucket list event as far as me out there battling the elements.
That's we'll battle the elements and battling the fish.
Yeah, see, I could do something like that because that'll also bring me some money, in the end. But as far as I don't need to climb a mountain. I don't need to, like I said, but it's certain things physically I don't need to do.
Hmm.
I wouldn't do it. Maybe that fishing, something like that, just conquering the water and all that. But um, yeah, it's a short list, man, because there's some things I wouldn't risk my life on now.
Hmm.
I don't need jump besides jumping out of a plane. I don't need to go see the volcano up close, brother Bennett. I don't need to go see the lions. And now I can't say I wouldn't do that, but Africa, being able to stay there 6
Yeah.
months or more,
Yeah. I
that
I
would
have
be
a
a
I have a
bucket list.
huge travel list.
Yeah,
That's for sure. And Lord willing,
South America,
yeah, Lord willing,
things like
certainly
that.
my wife and I will get a chance to go to these I have never places
Yeah,
in the coming years. And so that's
yes,
certainly something that again, we're looking forward to that. That excites us. That wants us, we want to engage in these things. So again, don't again feel bad that you've never done something.
mm-mm.
Again, like I said, treat it as an opportunity
Yes,
to do something.
an opportunity.
Absolutely. Next question here is I am someone who wishes. So again, this could be again something on your vision board, something on your dream board. It kind of can tie back to the last question. You haven't, but do you wish to? And so again, these are again another opportunity to pursue something that you haven't had opportunity. Might been the wrong time. The opportunity didn't present itself, whatnot. But now you maybe have more means. And so this is again. So I think these questions go hand in hand. Coach, you chime in this one. We can move on, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, the picture's interesting with I have someone who wishes, right? So it's just funny. But I wish for things even today, man. I wish that I could live longer, and so. But I also am always say I'm so thankful that I'm here right now. So yeah, wishing, especially I think it's great for someone young, but also tying it into I believe. Get away from the wish at some point and be like, I believe. Because,
Mhm.
what I'm saying, before you're able to,
Good point.
what I'm saying, just sometime as you're growing, I've seen that, kids, they don't see a lot. So when they see it for the first time, they don't believe that they can do it. And then when they doing it, sometimes they wish that they can do it better or have more of it.
Mhm.
And then sort of get them to turn from that, be like, oh, I can. I believe now. I
Yeah.
don't wish it anymore. I believe. And
Yeah.
just build those building blocks on top of each other. Because you're
Yeah.
not going to be 16 forever. You're not going
That's
to be
right.
21 forever. There's certain things that you can build on,
Yeah.
believing that you can do it. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Now it's interesting. That's a good setup for the next question, and is I think also something that trips up a lot of people. I am someone who has tried to.
mhm.
Again, this could be you may have tried to put yourself in a situation where sometimes it's not the right time. It's not the right opportunity. You've tried to either mend things or apply yourself. Doors got closed or whatever. Do you keep on pushing? Does that season come back around where you can try again on something? You failed at something. Some people fail and quit. But are you willing to try again? There's nothing wrong with failing. But again, a lot of people who fail, feel a certain way about yourself. You get emotional. You get angry, and be like, "They ain't doing nothing no more. Bump that." But get up off the ground. Try again, or try another way, or another solution. If one door closes, see if there's another one that opens. Coach, your thoughts on this one?
This is something that, again, it can be, to me, I've always worked the best when it's broken into two parts, right? Because we see a lot of it. I see it, just based off hearing people's stories on YouTube. They tried to get married, it didn't work out. They tried to do this, it didn't work out, right? So, and I say that because there's a social emotional part of it. That being with someone, wanting someone to own you and love you and share your time with, be around friends and family. And then if those relationships don't work, then people sort of just believe that everything from that point on is going to be the same result. So I tried that. What are you talking about? I tried that. How long ago? When I was 20. How old are you now? I'm 35. Oh, was it? And then you can ice the question: did you deem it to be a good experience? Yeah, when it lasted. Oh, so it was a positive while you was experiencing it. Then at some point it failed, right? Or did you make it fail? No.
Mhm.
So if it's not you, that's not your pain anymore. You you know what I'm saying? So now if you and it just had to break it down in a sense and talk to, it's always about showing them the balance of whatever the worst of it is. And then when it came to like I always just say the technical side of life, getting your degrees, graduating high schools, getting the job, learning the skill, running a mile, just whatever the person's situation was, I would focus it on that. And just to say, yes, you tried, and it may not have worked out the way you thought it in your mind, but also in that trial is a part of the growth. And then a part of the growth means you got to go from point A to point B with point A plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10 in between point A and point B. And point of those other points in between are your learning points, are your growing points. So yes, you tried today, you want to run a 200 meter, you run it in a minute, you keep going to point 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6, and that requires time. If you got 90 days or more, you could change that time. You can change the results of in that time, but you got to go through these steps. There's certain things I used to try to make people understand you can't avoid it. I had to do it. My daddy had to do it. My mama had to do it. Everybody has to go through these steps to get to those places.
Right.
You learn the basics of it, the specifics of it, and then you can deviate from it once you learn it. But you can't deviate from it before you get to point 1.5.
Yeah.
And I think that could be because it's because you hear it all the time. I tried something, didn't work, so I just give up.
Yep.
But if it's something that you really want, then you have to go through the steps. Just like going to college. You can't say I'm a freshman, then be a senior after a semester. No. You have to take this many classes, this subject matter at these levels, at these grades, and then you graduate. And when you come into the world, Brother Benny got 25 years of experience. You think you can just supersede him with your limited experience? No, you got to go through those steps. And when it comes to people, I think people try to please too many other people before they learn how to please themselves.
Yep. Yep. Then again, another good segue. Really, these questions, I didn't even sort these questions. They were right off the sheet. So it seems like just from the conversation, they lead into successful questions. Now, again, I'm going to do another pairing here because I really see, especially with young people, with Gen Zers
Mm-hmm.
in particular, I think this is something that I've seen even in my own family. A lot of people struggle with
Mm-hmm.
these questions right here. The ones that so I'm going to show both of them, and then we can kind of talk about them as a tandem. But I think these are real questions that I think a lot of people really need to ask themselves. So the next question: I am someone who nobody seems to fill in the blank.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one: I am someone who everyone seems to.
Mm.
So it's basically how it's about your self perception of other people and then how you think other people perceive you. It's like so many people are basically saying people don't get me. It's that kind of atmosphere, and I've seen it so much in this household. I'll be trying in this household. I've seen it a lot. So, but again, I think a lot of younger people, early 20s, teenagers, especially. We used to be called nerds back in the day, or oddballs, or outcasts, or grunge, or whatever. And a lot of times we may have went to some other things because nobody understood us, or we got around people who thought understood us. And so again, you got this one. I am someone who everybody seems to, and that's it's almost like a me against the world kind of thing. And then likewise, I'm someone who nobody seems to. For a lot of people, a lot of young people in particular, these two right here is at the heart of the issue. People want to be understood. People want to be validated, have their opinions and views validated. Am I alone in the world? Or they feel that I can't be. And this is now again, my daughter says this, so I'm trying to break her out of it because I was having a conversation with Anton over the weekend about this. So I just want to be my authentic self. And sometimes that authentic self is not necessarily the best self.
Hmm.
And so again, sometimes you have to get over that. But nevertheless, since this is about self-assessment, this is about how you feel. This is not the time in doing this assessment to say whether or not you're right or not. That may come later, or there's some things that we need to fix, or a mindset that we need to adjust. This is an honest, raw representation in terms of how you see yourself and how you see the world around you and how you think that world sees you. So, coach, deal with both of these questions. I'm someone who nobody seems to, and then you have I'm someone who everybody seems to. So about perception, how you are perceived in the world. Your thoughts on these, coach?
Yeah, I didn't really sort of run into the first question until maybe once I started working in that field, when I started people saying, I'm someone that nobody seems to understand. I didn't hear that too much growing up. It may have been in some homes, I'm sure, but I didn't hear it around the people that I hung around too much, right? But the next one, but I'll say this: in the state of mind when I worked in it, came up a lot.
Hmm.
This came up a lot about because those children are young adults in that position. Because it was some young, I wouldn't say young adults, I would say teens, adolescents, teenagers, and whatever. They were put in vulnerable positions,
Yep.
and that's where that sense of identity can get lost because they being sort of just pushed around and nobody's showing them that like you mentioned, nobody giving them that hug and nobody saying, hey, you beautiful, you handsome, you know what I'm saying, you can do it. And that's when once I started hearing these would be the conversations that I would hear that would push me to say, hey, you can do something, you are something, and just building that relationship and sense of belonging and showing that in somebody. Yes, you may run into this early on in someone's headspace if they believe that they are less than or not worthy. You may hear this conversation.
Yeah.
And yes, it's great to understand it, but you sort of have to flip that switch to let them know immediately that they are. They just don't see it yet because it's
Yeah.
not under their control.
Yeah.
And once you can get them to understand that it's under their control, how they respond is great. Yeah, and I'm someone who everybody seems to always call on when they need some money, to always expect to be da da da, right? Yeah, we see that. You know what I'm saying? My friends always, it can be a double edged sword with this. Because if you understand who you are in the sense of pride in yourself and confidence, that you could internalize, like, hey, I am somebody. just like playing sports. I realized that I'm the running back. I have
Mhm.
to run the ball to score touchdowns and get first down. So
Right.
people are looking out for me. I
Mhm.
played linebacker. I played basketball. They are expecting me to score 16 points. So yes, that was an internalized thing. But like I said, once I started learning the lingo of being in social services and education, you started to hear it a lot in those individuals that were going through that process. And I didn't know any other way of how to address it than to allow them to share that, because you just don't get it right away. It may take a few a few times of building that relationship, because they so used to me. I say me, but not me. They so used to others pushing them to the side,
Right.
and then when
Yep.
you show them that you are actually caring, but not only caring, in it's like I treat it like the eagle treats his baby. When the
Mm.
eagle's baby gets wings big enough, they push him off the ledge and make him fly. So I address it in that way over time, and having these conversations. Hey, at some point, me and you ain't gonna be together.
Right.
At some point, we've been talking about this. At some point, we've been going through this. So you can fly, and this is something that, yeah, and it can be heavy on others because family, and we want to love our family, because family, we quick to say we family, we gotta stick together. And I've seen young people who were being forced to be in they had gang families,
Mm.
and they were
Wow.
being forced to be in these
Yeah.
gangs,
Yeah.
and they didn't want to be.
Right.
But everybody expects for me. And this goes down from the mothers to the brothers, uncles, some fathers. And when you're young like that, it can really destroy your confidence and put you in a headspace to harm others or harm yourself.
Yep.
So be
All
careful
right.
with this one.
Gotcha. All right. Next question. Maybe a little fun one. Someone who just can't get enough. Again, what are your passions? What are your hobbies? What do you like to do? You love to read. You love to, again, play sports. You love to whatever. What is something that you can throw yourself in fully? So again, I think these are I think that's an important part of yourself. What are your hobbies? What are your interests? What turns you on? Because a lot of times, especially when I'm dealing with young people, if I can find out what that hot button is, then I can really appeal to them. Yeah. So, any thoughts on this? I think this is a pretty, again, pretty straightforward question, but again, it's a part of who you are, and it could be food. Is there what food you go for? It could be a lot of different things, but we dealt with some real. The last two questions, I think, like I said, them the heavy ones. This one should be a relatively easy question to ask. But your thoughts on this one, Coach, before we move on?
Brother Ben, it depends on I'll say with teenagers, especially high school, it depends on where they are, man. This one right here is like walking on pins and needles, right? Because a teenage boy may be in a headspace like, man, listen, I see them girls over there, man. I just can't get enough of them, and they will express this. This is not something that I've heard, and I've heard the girls. I heard a, I heard, I heard a kid tell me one time, he like, man, these girls, man. I don't even like them girls, man. They always bother me. And right after that, brother, he said, but they be smelling so good. I just can't stop. Man, I laugh, man. And I'm telling you, and I've had, you know what I'm saying? So,
But that's real though. But I'm saying, but that's there's again,
no,
this
that's what
is
I'm
this
saying.
is your. What I'm saying, but this is for that person. This is their
Yeah,
personal assessment. They
yes,
again, that thing might be girls. Now again, the
yes.
thing, you got to be smart and all those kind of things that kind of go with that. Don't get yourself in trouble. Don't do anything stupid. But yeah, I mean that if that's what you're into, you're into it. Like I said, this whole list of what it is, this is your list. This is not something that people should be judging you on.
Yeah,
But
that's why.
this is straightforward. This is you.
Yeah,
So again, our guy Anton, he's into hockey. Can't get enough.
can't get enough.
And and he is very passionate about the sport. Me, like I said, I would rather watch a basketball or football game than watch hockey. Okay,
Mm.
that's my I would rather. That's a very pretty simple. I would rather question
And
for
I'd
me.
rather watch football over all three.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
But that's a pretty straight. Again, that's a pretty straightforward. But again, this is something you can have some fun with.
yeah,
You know, it doesn't have to be all super serious. But again, but don't be afraid to recognize that part of yourself.
yes. And brother
Yeah,
Bennett, this is a key breaking point in someone, right?
yeah,
Especially if someone is taking it to build upon whatever lane whatever creative gene that they go into, or
yeah,
because it all comes from innovation. Say their innovative mind is booming, right? And if
yeah,
they can say out of their mind, especially if it's learning something new, taking something further than what we may have tried to teach them, and they, when it comes to math, playing instruments, I don't know, being able to break down an engine, building their own whatever, drone, whatever,
yeah.
when they start talking about, man, I just can't get enough. Man, Brother Benjamin, I dream about building drones.
Mm,
That's a great place to be in the
yeah.
mind. That's a great
Especially
place to
these
be.
days, and it can make you some money. I mean,
Yes,
certainly in
but it
these
keeps you out
spaces.
of trouble. It puts you
That's
in a
right.
state of responsibility. It sets you up for years of good life when you get old and like me.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. Next one here. Again, a little deeper. I'm someone who doesn't know how to. It's almost like the someone who can't
Mm,
or who has never. But again, there is nothing wrong with questions like this. Again, the idea here is, do you want to learn? Like I said, sometimes we just can't get there because of, again, opportunities.
hmm
But again, that's not a weakness. I'm someone who doesn't know how to cook. Well, that's an opportunity. Or know how to sew. Now, again, I've been cooking since I was 8 years old. Knew how to sew a little bit. I can run the sewing machine. My mom was a seamstress, so she be on that sewing machine. She showed me a couple things on there. But again, there might be other things, other skill sets. Like I said, my wife, she's like, we should take some dancing lessons. You know, learn how to tango. And so again, these are things that again opportunities is really what this is about. So don't look at it as something you have to be embarrassed about. Coach, any thoughts on this one for Noah?
Yeah, man. I wish I knew how to step dance. JT, I know y'all do some form of step dancing in Detroit, man. I wish I knew how to do that Detroit hustle. I tell you that, man. I like those moves, man. So yeah, I have some things. Even in, I guess what was it? One of the hardest things in construction for me. I don't know why I was doing the step layout. I don't know why I did.
Mhm.
I don't know what was going on. I still struggle with it, but it might take me 3 or 4 measurements to get it right. So,
Right.
yeah, it's in this point of my life is not very many things that I don't know as far as maybe having to maintain my house and survive off the land. It's not, just getting used
Yeah,
to it.
that I would say because we talked about that on the gray area show. We
Yeah.
talked about the idea that um, there's just certain things that a lot of people don't know. Survival skills. If you had to
hmm
live off the land, or
hmm
if you didn't want to always think you had to spend money, how many things could you do for yourself? DIY projects
hmm
or things that you could actually build
hmm
rather than paying a plumber or a contractor. All these guys, which we need. I mean, we need skilled people in these areas.
hmm
But you got places on their Home Depot used to offer free classes,
hmm
basic
I used to go.
electrician, basic plumbing, and things of that nature. Some of these things you could save yourself thousands of dollars.
hmm
if you just know some basic skills about certain things, to run a household.
That's what I do.
So yeah. So I mean, these aren't, again, these are opportunities for you to save money, to gain experience, a new skill set. And so again, don't run away from those things, but be honest about them at the same time. So, next question. I'm usually someone who forgets to.
Mhm.
So this is again, this could be one of those things that you need to work on, and be honest about that. Forget to apologize. Forget to say I'm sorry. Forget to, um, um, you know, look over certain things. Do you forget names of people easily? I mean, these are opportunities to get better, to improve on things. Forgets to be thankful for what you have. So again, an introspective question, but something that, you need to. And then again, we have a converse question. You're someone who never forgets to. So again, these are kind of, again, duality type of questions. Who usually forgets, and someone who never forgets. And so these are paired up. So coach, your take on these two.
Just going from this question and going back to the other question. If you say that out loud, I would say that unless it's something that's we all gonna forget something, whether regardless of how large or small it is. This is gonna be something like, oh, depending on how long, you may forget, but as it relates to this sort of side of the question, I would say, I usually forget. I'm someone who chooses to forget.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? People seem to not forget things that they want. They can remember that for 15 years or
Yeah.
all day, every day. But the things that they choose or obligated, they can forget easily.
Mhm.
You're obligated for something, but oh, I forgot. No, if you obligated to it, meaning you signed a contract, meaning you made your promise, going back to your integrity and being accountable. If you made a promise that, Brother Bennett, I'm going to come and cut your grass on Friday, did I choose to forget it, or did I really mean it when I said it? So yeah, I think, especially when
So
I guess,
are you talking selective memory, coach? Is that it?
yeah, that's to break it down. Yeah, just go ahead and I'll just say thank you for that. I was trying to be nice with it because when you're working with someone, I'll say this, that's a great word to use for adults. You you already know your ass supposed to do it. You just play dumb with it. But for someone learning the ropes, learning life, I could see because we got a lot going on. I got my phone. I got to pick up my brothers and sisters from school. I got to do homework. The girls is like, it's a lot. So if you told me take out the trash, Brother Ben, we've been through it as teenagers. Take out the trash. We forgot all night. Missed the trash day. Now we act like we ain't supposed to get in trouble for it. We always given the responsibility,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we was kids. We expected our parents to treat us like the kid. How come I can't forget? But then you realize taking the trash out is important. So you learn to not, oh, let me get this trash out. But then that that's your responsibility. You making the decision then because Wednesday's coming up, trash day.
Yeah.
So I think, people sort of pick and choose how they want to do that sometime, but
Mhm. Yeah.
and we do forget some things, especially I would say in life with your everyday tasks, you may forget something personal.
Mhm.
Well, unintentionally,
Mhm.
you're supposed to maybe stop at the store after work, but you were so anxious to get home, you just roll right past the store.
Yep.
Certain things that,
Yeah.
it ain't gonna be
But I
that
do believe
serious.
again, that's why we have, just like in the picture, I mean, we have tools.
Yeah,
This thing here, I
there
can
you go.
set reminders, I can do
Yes,
to-do lists, I can do important dates.
yes.
I mean, there's so many things you can be, I think these devices, say what you want, people have a love-hate relationship with their devices, but it can be a very useful tool to help you
Hmm.
stay on task and stay on business such that you don't forget the things that you need to be doing, and also to stay away from the things that you want. Like I said, I got a monitor that I'm wearing. For those who came in late, I'm part of a study, getting my glucose monitored it's continuous. So I can look at any time and see what my blood glucose sugar level is. And if I eat something that I'm not supposed to be eating, it'll tell me right away. I'll get alerts, hey, your blood sugar is going through the roof. So again, there's a lot of tools that are available to help you stay on task.
Hmm.
And so you should never be the person that says, I'm someone who never forgets to or forgets to. Does definitely help, certainly in this age. Getting
So
down to the last couple questions here. Again,
no
more,
more selective memory.
yes, retrospective here. I'm someone who's thankful for. Find me a person who can't count their blessings, and I find you a person who's got a lot of again, anger issues, or just not recognizing where they are.
Just selfish as hell, if I say
Yeah. So again, what are you thankful for? Very open question. I mean, you gotta you gotta deal with that. Or if you haven't dealt with it in a while, if you've been complaining too much, pause, stop, and count your blessings. I see this a lot when I travel. Again, you've had people who, you get opportunities to travel to some of these destinations and locales, and I see a lot of these people aren't even happy. You don't realize that you're in very rare company that has the opportunity, the money, especially in this economy, and you have the means to travel and to be in places where, again, if you go to the general population, they're not as good off as you are, but they don't have your funky attitude. And so that idea of getting out of your own way, looking outside yourself, or going to a place where people don't have it as good as you do. We take water and just the necessities of life and whatnot, and we just lose perspective sometimes on what's really important. So again, taking time, to fill up your Thanksgiving account, I think is an important step. But Coach, your thoughts on that?
I mean, this is a great uh, closing segment. If you're working with a group of individuals, men, women, um, it doesn't matter what category or social life they're in. It's a great segment because it can also tie into pies at the beginning.
Yep.
And once you've been able to, like, after every session, this could be a quick hit of what are you thankful for, especially after they get through understanding pies to the moment. And yeah, I think depending on age, where they can process things being discussed, setting those mental homework assignments. I used to love doing that, setting those mental homework assignments based off what they have to start visualizing internally and externally in the moment.
Yep.
And yeah, man, I used to put numbers on it too. You have to be able to identify at least 10 things that you are thankful for.
Yep. Yep.
At least 10, maybe more, but no less than 10,
That's right.
based off what you've been through. Not about what could happen, based off what you've been through, what you survived, what you've overcome. You can identify at least 10 things. And they don't have to be large. They can be small things. I'm so thank look, I'm thankful the fact that I was able to eat breakfast this morning.
That's right.
See, and that's where those uh, conversations over a period of time, where they can sort of start guiding themselves through that mindset. Like I am thankful. I've been through some stuff, and I'm a lot better focused than before. And that's where having those conversations can get a lot of people to, and it doesn't take a long time. It just has to be very direct in how you're approaching topics and open-ended questions, allowing for explanations of why. Always answer the why. And once people are able to identify that, man, you can. They are thankful. And going back to what I said earlier, putting those visuals up. If you got a space where you can have a board or with those big old sheets of paper and you can write on them and you can show those based off the minds of what they thought of, they may not be able. Listen, you can find somebody who really has nice handwriting and let
Yeah.
them be the writer, so you can just be the facilitator, Brother Bennett. Then that's a sense of ownership. That's a sense of building. It's a sense of we all belong and we all can be better. It just brings a whole different element. Man, I can never, as I look back, I think some of the greatest accomplishments of me that I own for myself is seeing those people grow mentally and use their past as a sense of accomplishments, good or bad. Use that. You've been through it, but here you overcome it. The storm was then,
Yeah.
but now you armed with more knowledge, more inspiration, more belief. Now you face it head on.
Mhm.
And don't make those same bad decisions, and focus on self. So you don't, if you don't, never do this again. And I'll end it right here. Never forget about yourself. So, yeah, that's
I
what
got
it
you.
is.
Got you. Got a couple more here. Now, again, this one you can take positive or negative. It's kind of a spin on someone who wishes for, but this can be the contrast also. I'm someone who probably will end up. So again, so this can be kind of like the negative side of that's something that you wish for or something that you're optimistic about. But again, is that self doubt there? You have these ideas, you wish you were in this place, but I'll probably end up. So again, how are you feeling about yourself? Your level of optimism points you in the direction, says, I will, or I wish to be, or I'm praying for, or I'm anticipating, I'm hoping for, I'm expecting, but I'll probably end up here. And again, this is also, again, a source of frustration for a lot of people who want different. But sometimes in their minds, the reality of what's in front of them is painting a different picture. You'll probably end up just like the people who came before you did. And that's a cycle to break, but you have to be honest with that. Your level of optimism. Or are you settling for what people thought you could have? So, coach, your thoughts on this one. I can't see too many times we'll be using a positive sense on this question, but how have you used it?
This picture, it says a lot because this is the age when boys, especially even girls at this age, are owning the fact that people judge them. and they judge behavior. And so they sometimes it has to be the way I've used it. Just to be frank, why did you say a kid gets in trouble in school and they just keep getting in trouble, but there's nobody talking to him through that process. Nobody really trying to find out why he's getting in trouble outside of school, because a lot of it happened before they get to school. That it's acted out in school because that's the only space that they can, because nobody really ain't paying attention to them in school, but they are identifying them as being a problem. And not a lot of people have the conversation about, okay, you did this 3 days in a row. If you keep doing this, what do you think will happen? Oh, I'll probably get suspended. Okay, if you get suspended more than 3 or 4 times, what do you think will happen? Oh, I'll probably get kicked out of school. If you get kicked out of school, and just run down this list, right? And I used to always ask them, who do you want to be in control of your life? I do. Well, if you keep on, you're gonna you're gonna give the control to someone else. You're gonna give it to someone else. You won't be able to see your mama, your daddy, your cousin, your favorite friend. You won't be able to see them no more. Someone else gonna take your control. And it's a very delicate situation. And this is where they sort of lean on your trust to be the person you say you are. Especially if you're working with them and you're trying to get a positive result. They expect for you to be the person you say you are. A lot of people say, I never told a kid I was coming to the school or classroom unless I came. That would be in my calendar.
Yep.
Like you said, you got a phone, I would make a reminder, because they would expect for me to show up. And if I didn't, they may just fall right back into that same behavior and start believing that's everybody. So once I built that relationship and would show up for little stuff and help them with a math problem, and help them read a couple of words, show them grades. I used to show kids grades, especially in high school. I show them their transcript, GPA,
Right.
Get them to understand GPA now. And that's all they want to do the whole year is talk about how they went from a 2.0 to a 3.0. And they trying to get a 4.0, and that was a great thing, but just building that relationship and let them to see how negative can end up as a negative result outside of your control. And so once somebody can do that, and it's a self-defeater's mindset.
Yeah.
And again, depending on age, I'll say this, I'll use this as an example as a friend. I had a friend, right? Knew him we went to Morehead State together. He played football, I played football. We knew of each other. We even played against each other in Pop Warner, played championship game against each other. We knew of each other, but we didn't know each other. We got to college, we knew each other. Went to the same school a couple years. I ended up dropping out because I didn't want to take out student loans. He dropped out. He ended up getting into some trouble with the law. I went on, joined the military, got out, went to school and everything. So when he was still going, I don't know, wherever his head was, we used to have conversations every time I come home on leave. I go see him, and, he was out a couple months, a year or so. I talked to him, whatever. He didn't know where to go. I said, man, there's something that you have to find out that you want to do and do it for at least 4 years. And we talked about this for a couple years. It was a couple years in going. So he said, man, I'm going to go back to school. I said, man, you playing. I'm like, man, all right, man, you said a whole lot. But still, I wanted him to do it. He did it. Ended up getting his master's. Ended up being the manager of the city that used to lock him up. His son just graduated college on Saturday. His son called me uncle. He only know me as uncle. He got 2 sons. They only know me as uncle. And the fact that his son graduated, based off he told me in the text, he said, man, you were a big reason why I graduated college. You used to always talk to me about it. You know what I'm saying? And having his father talk to him, because I had to sort of, got him into space, man. He done got married, Brother Bennett. You know what I'm saying? Got a successful marriage, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
With 3 felonies and an escape on his background. Ain't nothing expunged, brother. It's on his record. And to be able to overcome that after having conversations like, man, if you keep wilding out here, man, what you think will happen? And this is from 2006 to 2020. I think he got married in 23. His son just graduated in 2026. So 20 years since that time. He's gotten a master's. His son has graduated from college with a college. His girlfriend, she just graduated from University of Kentucky. She graduated at 9:00 that morning, last Saturday. He graduated at 3.
Wow.
She's a biochemist. And of course, I'm talking to them about, listen, y'all in the right position to start. If y'all going together, y'all in the right position to start a family and be dynamic. Be dynamic out here. So they like, yeah, okay, cool. Well, I'm not your parent, so I'm just letting you know how. But just seeing those results and I was talking to a coworker of mine from when I was at my last high school in Chicago. He was telling me he run into guys that I've worked with. He said, man, I see them all the time. He said, they always ask me about you. He said, they always ask me about you. And so he said, a lot of them are doing pretty good. Then I just feel blessed to be able to have those opportunities. Because me and him worked in the same school.
Right.
And we had a lot of these same conversations. And he used to sit in with me sometime and had a conversation because he was a former retired police officer. And so just being able to have these real conversations and asking this question, if you keep doing this negative thing, you're going to get the power taken away from you, and you're going to probably end up in the worst of outcomes. And what could those outcomes, and tell them the outcomes, but also tell them the outcomes that if he could change this is where things could go for the positive. I used to always end on the positive. I start with the negative because we got to deal with the issue, flush that out. Now, here are the positives. And I'm going to help you get to the positives as long as you're under I used to always tell the kids, as long as you're up under my jurisdiction, under my love, under my voice, I'm going to make sure you're going towards the positive. If you don't want to do right, you got to transfer out of this school. And I never had those problems like that. But so just having those
well, this has been certainly one of our longer shows. We rarely have gone 2 hours or near it. But again, certainly getting the channel or certainly the show started again. And again, we're starting with a big one. But this assessment, I think, is going to be important to everything that we do in this segment. So for us to spend this time going over these questions, and please, we're asking people certainly to hit the like button and certainly share the content. Share this with other people. Share this with young people who may be struggling, like this the boy in the picture, and get them to engage, have a conversation, get them talking about how they really feel about themselves, how they feel about the world around them, how they feel about how people perceive them, and how are they being perceived. All these are important questions that a person should be comfortable or find someone comfortable to open up with. If you're having trouble having conversations, this questionnaire could be a good icebreaker, a way to build bridges in bonds, and share some of yourself in the conversation. So again, we spent a lot of time with this show asking these questions. The last question really is more so a rhetorical one. But at the end of the day, this whole process, this whole set of questions that we've been asking, ultimately the question that you have to ask yourself is, I am what? Who are you? And for a lot of people, they don't know who themselves, they don't know who they are, they don't know what they can be, they don't know who. If you're a religious person, it's like, it's not only knowing who I am, but it's also knowing whose I am. And for a lot of people, they never get it. And so all of those questions that were asked earlier, they're ultimately going to go to this question: I am what, or I am whom's. And if you don't get this worked out, some people think you need to start with the I am whose question. Because if you don't know who I am, who you belong to, whose you are, then a lot of people don't have the confidence to go out and do other things. So again, that kind of gets more into the spiritual component of things. We're not going to go headlong into that, but I think you need to, to recognize that's could also be a part of this. Why you feeling the way you're feeling, why you have the anger issues that you have or whatnot, because you don't know who you belong to. You don't know that you've been created with a purpose. And so a lot of people find in strength and empowerment in that aspect of it. Like I said, we're not going to go long here, but this is really the ultimate question here. And if you can get a grasp of this, appreciate it, work on the areas that need to be worked on, but accept yourself, you're going to be a lot less likely to get angry and just react to everything that's going around you. Someone's trying to take something from me and I have to prove myself and I have to fight back. How much time have you spent in the space recognizing who you are? And I'll leave that as my closing comment. And Coach, as usual, you can certainly close us out tonight.
No, man, listen, dude, this I am. You are worthy. You are somebody. You are capable. You are in this moment, and I used to always say, tell them at the end, like we closing out, just like we're doing. Listen, don't run down somebody else's road. You walk down somebody else's road. You run down your own road. You run as fast as you can when it's in your own road, not somebody else's road, because you don't know what booby traps, what may lie ahead that can deter you from the road that you on. So stay on your own road.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, man, I think just where we are today, what we're seeing in these spaces, just being observant. I think a lot of people are caught up in other people's roads and trying to dictate other roads and avoid stop signs and caution signs and detour roads. So just, I don't know, man. I think I would hope that at some point the ice breaks and individuals start owning who they are for the better, despite what they went through. We still on this earth for a reason.
Mhm.
And sometimes we just don't know until we know. But I say we never give up the fight. I'll never give up the fight, and I don't think my wife would ever give up the fight. She gives me encouragement sometimes. Even my dog will fight. I know my dogs will fight. That's something I don't have to worry about. But I think that's just a part of, who I am. And I appreciate everything that's happened to me in my life, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent. And hopefully I still get a chance to go through those different obstacles through life. It motivates me to just, better is a word, but I don't know if I can actually identify what it motivates me to do. I'm just glad that I'm able to do what my mind says do. And I can go as slow or fast as I want to go. Like I said, I enjoy my days being 24 hours. It gives me a sense of accomplishment that I'm still able to do. So salute to that, man. Salute to everybody. Salute to Grooming. Everybody showed up for us today, man. It's 2026, man. So, and it's getting into the summer, man. We almost through spring, Brother Benny. We 6 months in almost, man. That's crazy, ain't it?
That's right.
That's
Time's
crazy.
a wasting. What are you waiting for?
Yeah,
Because you'll have another year that goes by and be like, well, you haven't done anything about your current situation. So why waste time? Time waits for no one.
No.
So with that, But certainly, again, we want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Again, make sure you hit the like button. Certainly, as you leave the channel tonight, also consider becoming a subscriber to the Sparta HQ Network. Again, we're very close to monetization. We appreciate the support that you guys give us, and certainly we look forward to always trying to have again positive content that is shareable with anyone. You don't see a lot of swearing or profanity on this show. Because again, the idea here is again, we want to reach out. We don't want our language to be such that is a negative. Whatnot. We want to show this with kids, with anywhere on the spectrum. I want everybody to certainly hear this information. So we intentionally keep the language cleaner, at least in this space. Now, in a sports show and whatever, it might be a little bit different, but certainly we set a high bar here. And, we certainly hope that this will be useful information that will bear later. This is later information. All right. We don't care how many likes or subs or subscribers we get from this. But again, we want to be able to just get the content, and the content will find who it needs to find. And so we stand on that as well. But again, Coach, as always, it's good to have you back. Looking as muscular and brolic as you are.
Don't let it look like that. Don't let that looks fool you, brother.
Well, certainly your background is certainly painting the story of a man who still got
for real too.
Look at them Popeye forearms. Look at that.
Yeah, that's what they used to call me too, brother.
There you go. Look at that. Don't even have to work them. They probably get big. You just look at something and they just grow. So hey, I heard that. All right, folks. Again, thanks for joining us. Certainly for myself and the coach. This is Next Gen Training on the Sparta HQ Network. For all of you guys, enjoy the rest of your week, the weekend. Take care. God bless, and we will see you next time. Good night.